doesn't do any good to have a computer when it doesn't connect because it says there's no internet. It says there's no internet. Well, yeah, well, no. Can I not hear you? No, but I can't connect if there's nothing there. And I think you said connect automatically, but it said there was no internet. But now it's not saying that, so maybe it will connect. That symbol means ain't nothing there. It connected automatically last time.
Yeah.
And once I had done it, there we go. It's the town hall thing. It's town hall. Isn't it?
That's the public one.
Yeah. Or are you trying to do the other one? Are you connected? Which network? No, yeah. You're not just because you're not connected.
There was one I wasn't on. Goodness.
Well, nope. Can't connect to this network. An unanticipated technical difficulty. She's trying to get the network thing to get into the other one. Which one is this one connected to? Did you get in? That did. Because this is when it says I can't connect to.
Close it and try it again. And then if you look at it.
Is this, okay, this is working.
All capital letters and letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard Laura.
I don't remember either.
Yes, probably not.
No, it's not. And it can't be connected to it. I don't know what happened.
Because and when, even no matter how I put the settings,
weird.
it tries to.
It worked fine last time. And of course, there wasn't extra time to
So I
have
just
this happen.
close everything into a course stuff. So I can't say.
Well, I can get by without it. I'll trouble bringing it over. You kind of wanted it to work.
And so I learned that now Microsoft will work with this should, yeah, and I couldn't,
Try this one.
she couldn't even do memory.
I'll forget it. We can get by with it. Yeah. Well, I don't get started.
And now everything's password.
Ready?
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, get back to the post. No. What's with the letter? Okay. Yeah, we'll get started. I'm going to call the meeting. Was it 7:07? thank you everyone for coming tonight. Nice to have some people in the room. There are additions and deletions to the agenda. Several are on the agenda to be added, but a couple of others have surfaced in the meantime, including, you mentioned them, Leslie. So what additions that you, we want to add in addition to the ones that are already here?
Well, I would like to add appointing the chair to the CAC for the rest of this year, since we haven't done that.
There's another one, wasn't there?
Possibly going into executive session to talk about lawyer advice.
Well, according to our rules, we have to go into executive session to discuss applications.
Yes, although I got a communication this afternoon from Ed saying that there's been a court ruling that you can't use executive sessions for discussions regarding appointments to elective office. So if that's correct, and we haven't had a chance to check with Guy's opinion on the matter, we'll have to do that. Not today. Okay, and I propose that we move all of that stuff down to the head of the business. All right. The privilege of the floor is next. This is an opportunity for anyone, whether they're here by Zoom or in the audience, to address the board on any matter if you'd like to. Rhonda.
Oh,
You're still
sorry.
muted.
Sorry. There you go.
Okay, you should be able to unmute now. But you have not done so as of yet. Nope. Did it? Yeah. Yeah, we're not hearing you, Rhonda.
Okay,
Hi, yeah.
so I have two things that I would like to say quickly. Number one, I want everyone to know that I wrote Joel an email prior to the previous meeting stating that I had discussed the matter of executive session for elected officials with the Committee on Open Government, and quoting the attorney that I talked to and telling Joel exactly what needed to happen in order for the town board to go into executive session, and that email was totally disregarded. And so your executive session last time was bogus. It did not follow what the attorney said you must do and say in order to go into executive session concerning elected officials. End of story. The other thing is, I'm really disappointed in the applications that we've been getting on these various committees for the most part. We have these people who think that they want to come and be on the town board or the planning board, and they've never been to a meeting and they don't know anything about what's going on. And these, as we all know, these are important positions. And particularly the town board and the planning board have a lot of meetings at the state level that are required, and the person needs to be told that they to taking these classes and doing this and doing that. and learning all of this stuff and quickly and quickly. So that's all I have to say. I think we should try to get some more people who really have been coming to the meetings and have a commitment and understand what it's going to take. And I hope you agree. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else with privilege of the floor? Of course, Ted.
There we go. Thanks. By the way, Joel, if you want to jot this down, that's opinion number 2565 from the Committee for Open Government, and it was attached to the end of that email.
Their opinion was the reference to judicial basis for it was not, even though it was referenced as being attached in their communication to you.
Right, it was. I just checked what I sent you, and there is a document attached. But if you just search for 2565 on the open meetings, on the Open Government website, you'll find it. It's a little long, as many judicial opinions are, but it's very, very clear.
Okay, thanks.
At any rate, I've had sort of a very painful afternoon. For a while, I thought I was going to end up in emergency surgery. I didn't. But that makes it all the more difficult to say some of the things I have to say right now. I find them painful to say, and I'm sure that some people listening to me, the people I'm addressing, will also find them painful to hear. But I think they're important to say, and I think that they're important for some of the people who are probably in your audience to hear. I'm going to start in a sort of a roundabout way. We're all the last meeting, and there's been some emails going back and forth about it. The controller's report, Office of the Controller's report, finding that the town somehow misplaced about $1,000, possibly in cash. I don't know. The point there is, the point of that I'm bringing up now is not that it happened, or not who was responsible, or anything like that. It's that the town board knew about it and said nothing. If it hadn't come to light through various people just happening to find it and sleuthing and happening to find it, no one would ever have known. To me, that's the sort of thing that should have been put into a newsletter about the town, saying this happened, we don't know how it happened, and here's what we're doing. More or less the response that you gave to the audit, to the controller's office. And I think that that's an example of how the town board has sort of operated in a non-transparent manner. Now I'm sort of going to go from one thing to another. From that, there was a discussion at a town board meeting a few meetings ago with a member of the public. That discussion continued in email. The member of the public felt that she was never going to apply for a position again because the town board would only choose friends. And I got to say, I was there. I know what she's talking about. I also spoke to people involved afterwards. There is what you could call the facts, and facts have different interpretations. The person who spoke her truth out of those facts was that she was passed over in favor of a friend. I see a different truth out of that. It wasn't a friend. It was, well, let's say that there are three categories. There are people the town board knows and likes. There are people the town board knows and don't like. And there are people they don't know anything at all about. And regardless of qualification for the job, they will never pick someone they don't like. In fact, someone at a town board meeting somewhat less than 10 years ago actually said those exact words. There are some people we will never appoint. In other words, I think that the town board is shortchanging the town by not considering people who have the best qualifications, interests, and skills in favor of people they feel safe with. And that brings to mind, there was a not too recent book about Abraham Lincoln and his war cabinet, which I believe they called, oh no, I've forgotten the name, a collection of rivals. He deliberately picked people who didn't like each other and couldn't work together because each of them had skills that they could contribute, and he simply wove those skills together into a war cabinet that worked. I think that's what you're missing, the point that you're missing here. There are people who did not apply for the current positions simply because they knew they would not be picked because they're not liked by the town board. I think it's really sad that that's happening, and that's the caution to people who are in the room. I'm hoping that you'll hear this, bear it in mind, and not fall into that trap if you are appointed, or even if you're not appointed. I think it's just worth listening to. Other than that, I know I had something else to say, but frankly, I've been concentrating on other things this afternoon, and I'm sort of losing my train of thought. Thanks for letting me have my say. I appreciate it.
Welcome. Anyone else? Okay. There is no correspondence that I'm aware of. Is that correct?
No, there are some correspondences. I wanted to add them, but didn't get a chance. So I put them in the additions and deletions section. Just a few letters, one from the Department of Transportation about the permit that will be expiring on the 1st, and then the 2 letters regarding the parcels that were entered in error on the Danby final roll for 2022.
Who's that from?
Sorry,
Who is that from?
that was from Tompkins County Assessment.
Okay.
I wanted to note the letter that we received from the CDBG program award that we just got. A grant that the planner spent a lot of time working on for the town. Addresses local affordable housing needs. That is very good for the town.
It's $500,000, yeah. Which put a dent in the problem at least. We're very happy to have gotten it. Are there any announcements? That they're aware of? Which brings us to,
Well, you need to announce the board and committee positions. Was that what you were going to do?
yeah,
Okay, just checking.
this is something we're supposed to do at every meeting until the end of the year, basically. So, I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a vacancy on every board, town board, planning board, except the BZA, the Conservation Advisory Council. There are a bunch of expiring positions, one each on the planning board and the CAC. Well, there's more than one on CAC, one on the BZA. CAC has, what, 3 expiring positions? Plus the vacancy. The representative of Youth Recreation Partnership and Youth Services Board terms are also ending at the end of the year. Need to have someone replace them in them.
And Danby Youth Commission.
Oh, right, Danby Youth Commission. You need to turn the mic on, Karen.
Danby Youth Commission.
Which has how many members that need to be replaced?
You mean how many
How many
can we
positions-
add?
How many positions expire and need to be either re-upped or filled?
We aren't expiring yet because we haven't even been a whole year. So there's no expiring people yet.
Well, I think.
But we have one person who's leaving.
Yeah.
And we have another person we'd like to have from West Danby, so that's 2, but we have more available positions.
Mhm.
We have plenty of room.
I think, although I'll need to check, that regardless of when the group got up and running, the appointments run to the end of the year.
We had this discussion at the last youth commission meeting, and everybody's on a 2-year, and then we'll start that alternately. You can check with Kate Shanks.
Okay. Yeah. So in other words, you'll go a whole year before you have anybody expire. Not quite 2, but.
The way you're saying it and the way I'm hearing it could be slightly different. It's easy to find out, but the point is we do have available spaces,
Yeah.
period.
That's important.
Yeah, right. Because not everything's filled anyway. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, good. Did I miss anything?
West Danby Water District.
Oh, yeah. There's always one position in the Water District Advisory Committee as well, which expires at the end of each year. Yeah. Right. Next up, interviews. Thank you for all of you who are here on account of that. We could do the interviews for all of these positions. We won't act on all of them, but we can, for everybody who came. And the only one I know couldn't make it was Jacob Colbert, who had previously scheduled work obligations that he couldn't modify. So he will join us on Friday for that. Tim Merritt here? Yes. Tim, would you like to come up to the microphone so that people from Zoom?
Don't need it because I speak very loudly, but
Yes, but they don't, I mean, we can hear you, but they won't hear you unless you use the mic. Is it on?
it is.
It is. Well, thank you for your willingness to serve. And we have a cheat sheet list of questions that we can refer to, trying to get a better sense for where you're coming from and what you hope to accomplish. So the question that comes to my mind is it's nice if people can state what they bring to the board that's their strength, that might complement what we already have. Could you speak to that?
I can speak to that. I've grown up in Danby for my entire life. My family has been in Danby for their entire life, of the 1900s and so on. I have been around for several town boards, and I spent 21 years in the military, becoming from a teenager up to an adult male, and grew up wanting to please as many people as possible, but understanding that you need to have different people in different positions on the town board so that you have a view of everyone, not just one consensus of, I think that's great, we all agree, and we want to have different eyes looking at different projects, or different eyes looking at the same projects, but we want to make sure that we cover all the bases. I've been doing IT work and have been in customer service for 24 years. And what I bring to the table is that I'm open-minded. I take the time to think about, what my decisions are that I'm going to make. And, I have a lot of pride in Danby to start with, because I grew up when we had the IGA and we had, Benjamin's One Stop, and it was actually a roaring little town we had here, and I'd like to get it back to the way it was. So I'm willing to, spend the time and do the reading and make sure that we, agree on things, disagree on things, and do the best for what the town deserves.
I guess I have a question to follow up on that, not on this list. But that being said, one of the things that people ask us is, how do you plan to find out what people in the town want? How do you plan to be available to people?
I am always available throughout the day, but I don't have a problem going out and talking to people at their houses. I also don't have a problem of having an open meeting just to find out what the town wants. I mean, our job, the job of the board is to make it run smoothly and to take care of, our taxes and our land and things like that. But as you see, stepping up and talking to anybody that doesn't know me or that does know me. I mean, I've known Pat and the captain for quite some time. And I've been around Danby for 54 years.
Yeah, that's not what I was really asking, but it gives me an idea that sort of like I like to do. But it's hard to, those are to you, but what we
I don't
wanna
have
do-
I would go out and find. I'm not afraid to go out and talk to people. I'm also not afraid to put something out there that says, look, if you've got a question of what we're doing, or if you've got a suggestion of what we can do better, I'm not afraid to do that.
Cool. Thanks.
Well, I don't know, this one's sort of related. Regardless of what you might have heard, we don't always agree on everything.
Yeah.
Can you speak up into the mic, Leslie? Sorry.
I just was saying that, is this working?
I don't think it's working.
Is it not working?
Hello?
Pick another one.
Hello? That one's
There
working.
we go.
Well, that's
But,
great, because now Captain needs. grab it off the table.
we can share. Regardless of what some people think, this group of people right here don't always agree on everything. And actually, it's can get interesting. But the town boards and committees may have prescribed duties and goals. But those groups are actually supposed to be reflective of the population in town. It shouldn't all be one group or one mind. And you're gonna get differing opinions, different interpretations of things. But we also have to base a lot of our decisions not on our own opinions, but on laws or established policies, the state. So how do you deal with the sort of conflict in period? How do you deal with conflict? But there's also that these are things that we need to do. We've agreed to do them, and maybe I don't really feel like doing that.
Well, there's where you get into a conundrum. The issue isn't whether you want to do them. The issue is that you have to do them. They are in a policy, they are a law, and those things are written down in stone, right? Doesn't mean we can't change them, but you can't change them today just to make yourself feel better, right? So we're gonna agree to disagree. We're gonna agree to agree, right? So the idea behind all this is that we put our heads together and come up with the best possible outcome for the town, followed by, are we covering our bases, covering all the policies, covering all the laws, and making sure that we're doing the best, again, for the town of Danby.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Have you looked at the comprehensive plan of the zoning laws?
I did. I skimmed it. I skimmed most of them. It's a little busy, and I'm kind of a busy guy, but I have, and I've been willing to sit down and actually read them the next week when I have a little bit of time, so that I don't have to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But yes, I've looked at all the laws that we have on book that I can see. And I will apologize, I don't come to the meetings because on the nights you have the meetings, I am otherwise engaged, and I have just freed that up so that I can make the commitment.
Will you be able to do that? If you're
Absolutely, 100%.
This board seems to like to meet frequently.
That's okay.
What did he just say?
What other activities are involved with in Danby?
Right now, I'm not involved in any because I just, freed up some time in my life to be able to do things that I want to do, not have to work 24 hours a day and spend all that time with somebody else.
This is the kind of job that you could spend full time on if you wanted to.
Correct. I mean, that's one of the things that you have to pay attention to as an individual, and that is biding your time and making sure that you spend it wisely. I'm pretty good at that. I'm a very busy man, as my wife will attest to. I am busy from the time I get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning until 10:30 at night, every single day.
This position is only for 1 year. Are you interested in running for a?
I am. I understand it's for 1 year, but I might as well get my feet wet now and jump in with 2 feet next time.
If this were a judicial position, I'd ask you what your judicial philosophy is, but a related thing might be what your what you feel is the appropriate role of government.
Government has its places, right? I mean, like I said, I spent 21 years in the military, so I was governed by the government for 21 years. What to do, where to go, when to get up, when to go to sleep, when to eat. Government should stay out of people's homes unless it interferes with the life and others. And the only time that government should have something to do with an individual is if they've broken the law within a federal system.
Okay, some of these laws are local.
And some of the local laws we have to be careful with as well, because we don't want to interfere with people's lifestyles, but we want to make sure that they follow the law as well.
The trick when you're dealing with local is to what extent is it appropriate to regulate things like noise, vehicle use, and when these things come up, there's always this tension between people's freedom of action and creating an atmosphere that promotes
A common party.
common good. Yeah.
And noise and vehicle use, we are and have been and will be a farming community. That's what built Danby. So those, the noise and the vehicle use and land usage, that has to be touched very gingerly within the entire community, because we're talking about people's livelihoods when we're talking about whether a tractor can drive down the road, whether I can sell 10 acres of land or 5 acres of land, because sometimes you're taking money out of a farmer's hands who had a really bad year with crops and now they don't have enough to feed their animals. So now that we're letting animals go hungry, and you're falling into a big bowl. Understandably, there are rules and policies statewide that cover most of that, and it has to be looked at in the wide picture as well as the small picture into the town and the community.
Mm-hmm. Agriculture in Danby has certainly seen better days.
It has in statewide. So
yes, and there's been a lot of interest in recent years in trying to bolster and support agriculture, both at the county level and even here in Danby. And the town has a history of trying to provide a context that's supportive with our local right to engage in agricultural activity law. And And then our efforts to preserve farmland for future use with the conservation easement program. And to some extent with the zoning, you know, which does constrain people somewhat, so.
It does.
So that's how the tension manifests.
Tension sometimes isn't a bad thing amongst a group of people that are all looking forward to the same final outcome, and think that it's, in your eyes, may be productive, and my eyes might not be productive. And when the two of us get together, we figure out a middle ground and realize that we were both fighting for the same thing at the same time, just coming at it from a different angle.
Yes. Thank you. Anybody else? You good?
All right, thank you.
Steve?
Hi, I'm Steve Weisberg, also interested in the interim position.
We asked you some of the same questions. It's only fair, right? They're gonna remember what I asked.
I think,
Town activities or meetings? Have you been able to attend meetings, or are you involved in other activities in town?
so I have attended a few meetings, but not a lot. But I should say that I've been a full-time teacher for the last 30 years at Ithaca High School, and that's pretty much consumed my time. I just retired at the end of last year. So that's why I'm here now. This is something I've always wanted to do. My grandfather, the town board and the school board, and he gave a lot of time to the community he lived in. I've been in Danby for over 30 years. And so now I feel like I've come to a place where I can do that.
Have you looked at the comprehensive plan, zoning ordinance?
No, I have not.
How plugged into are you as far as knowing what's been going on in the last couple of years in developing our recently revised?
Well, I know what I read in the newsletter, which I read every
You read
day.
the newsletter?
Oh, yeah. And like I said, I've participated in some Zoom meetings, but you know, I will definitely admit that this is a new thing for me. You know, I come to you from a different place. I've been very involved in other things until now.
Yeah.
What do you feel that you would be bringing to the committee, town or whatever?
Well, in the Ithaca School District, I served on many committees. There's a leadership in high school. I was department chair for 10 years. I was involved with many school board meetings. So I have a good understanding of public meetings and the process of working on a committee with a diverse group of people, how to respect divergent viewpoints, but also how to work productively and efficiently. I've had the benefit of working with a lot of really great people in those roles, so I've learned a lot from them. I also, as department chair, was in charge, well, first of all, of managing the math department, which is about as contentious a group of people as you could hope to find. But in addition, I kept a budget. So I'm familiar with working with budgets, spreadsheets. I understand some of the rules regarding public funds. I understand there's differences between the town and the school district, but I also do have a pretty good idea of what some of the restrictions are and things like that. And again, as department chair, I've had to deal with tons of regulations. Those are not town regulations, they're state regulations regarding education, but I'm familiar with that process. I know how to work with that.
I'll ask you the same thing I asked him. It's okay, Joel. Straight. I asked when he was, I forget the question, but my question to him was, how do you expect or wish or hope to reach out and find out what people want when we talk about trying to govern for the town?
I mean, that's a great question. Certainly, we struggled with something similar in the school district. How do you reach all your parents? Some parents, as you imagine, come to every school board, they email consistently, they're very engaged. Some parents are not. And I think those same challenges exist here. We have some people who are very connected digitally. We have some people, a lot of people who don't have good broadband access, who don't rely on email. Some people use their phones. Some those, news bulletins that come out. And I think you have to, first of all, take a blanket approach. You have to try everything to try to connect with people. But I also think connected to that, and certainly one of my overriding goals is you have to work to develop a sense of community so that people have ownership and a sense of belonging to the community, to the town of Danby. And again, there are a host of ways that you can do that. But I think at anything you do, hosting events, things like that, I think that's a good opportunity to reach out to people and try to find how do they like to communicate? How can we get in touch with you? What could we do to help you get more involved? I don't think there's a magic bullet. I just think that's important to have that as a priority because we are a growing community and maybe in some ways growing like more diverse. And so different people have different needs and different views of what the town of Danby means for them.
Are you, again, this is a temporary position. Are you interested in a full time?
I would be. I mean, I'm not going to commit tonight. I think it's, I know I have a steep learning curve. I'm fairly confident that I'm up to the task, but I want an opportunity to see how I do. So, if I don't feel like I'm able to have a positive impact, I wouldn't want to stand in the way of someone else. And that's actually why I'm interested in this. It came up and I thought, well, it's something I always wanted to try. And this is a good way to see and to learn. But certainly, yes, if it goes well, then I would be interested in continuing in the position.
1 year free trial.
Well, I don't know if it'll be free, but
Can you talk a little bit about how you, in your experience at school or other, you've done a lot of things, how you deal with disagreement or conflict when trying to work towards this common goal?
There's lots of, small techniques that are sometimes helpful. So just, trying to repeat or paraphrase what someone has said when they disagreed, just so that they understand that you understand what their issue is. I think that's important. I think it's really important to avoid personal attacks. And the board seems to get a lot of those, unfortunately. But again, it's a tough position. And I think as a member of the board, you want to convey that you're trying to serve the town. But I think that everyone has to understand that the town is not a single person or a single set of viewpoints. So there's constant tension and balancing. And I think you have to establish, well, what is our overarching goal? What are our principles? What are the things that we all support? And then you can work from a common understanding to try to focus on some of the problems. But it takes building trust and definitely communication. I mean, that seems to be a common theme that I'm hearing. People feel like their concerns are not heard, but also there's a difference between being heard and having your way. So I think that's where acknowledgement becomes important.
Thanks.
All right, thanks for your time.
Hello, I'm Shannon Hall. How are you?
How did you get interested in the planning board?
Well, for the past 10 years, well, longer, I've lived here and owned properties, and I'm really vested in the community, and I really am excited just to kind of be a part of Danby growing and, changing and moving towards a more, sustainable and I guess just kind of being part of the Danby vision would be great. And yeah.
Have you attended any of the meetings?
I have
or-
not attended any of the meetings, to be honest.
So how do you know what's going on?
Well, I know what's going on. I see that I'm part of the Danby community. I live here. I've lived here for 13 years, and I get the Danby newsletters, and I'm sorry. And it's not something that I have attended, and it's honestly not something I really had time with 3 young children, and and now that they're kind of growing into their own, I kind of wanted to be more a part of the Danby community. I'm not really involved in a lot of Danby community stuff, but that doesn't mean that it starts somewhere. So, and I think that this would be an exciting, position to, kind of learn from and grow into. So.
There's a lot to know in order to effectively be a good member of the planning board. And are you willing to commit to the sort of, first of all, the big hump of sort of familiarizing yourself with the regulations and also to an ongoing educational component, which is required for the position, going to trainings and so as to get ever more proficient. And the planning board position, I hope you appreciate it, is it's a 7-year gig. So it's not quite a life sentence, but it's a meaningful commitment.
Yeah. Well, I'm also have recently, became a real estate agent. So, part of planning and developing and learning about the local laws is something that's important to me, especially in a community that I, am growing into. So yes, it is something that I would be very interested in learning and going to the trainings and being a part of.
Somebody else?
I'm sure I do have questions for you, but I'm having a little trouble trying to figure out the best way to ask you and try and stray within some of the constraints here.
They're not really constraints, they're just suggestions.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm curious how you're mixing your real estate wishes with how you plan to keep Danby sustainable, and if your interest is more into the real estate for development versus the sustaining of farmlands, or, it sounds like a conflict to me, so I'm kind of interested in how you might sort that out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that both kind of go hand in hand, but I mean, obviously, one of my, things is being part of the Danby community. And I feel like, having a vision and having children and kind of making that all connected is important to me, and growing in the Danby community as one. And I've learned through real estate, there's a lot of development and stuff that Danby is trying to do in its town in general. And just being a part of that would be exciting. And I don't think that, I guess you're calling it a conflict, but I don't see that. So I think that, having the knowledge and experience in my own community that I'm vested in is important.
Okay.
Yeah, help.
Not really. I think you heard me say, I think it's a conflict of interest.
Correct, yeah.
And I'm trying to say that, to me, there is a bit of what seems a conflict. And then when you said you're interested in developing, that there's lots of development that we want in Danby, I think that maybe one of the areas that you might want to learn more about is where some of that development is. For instance, the core centers is it's the limited part of Danby. And then there are various parts of Danby that are in the zoning, in the comprehensive plan, that are hopeful to be preserved for
As rural.
agriculture and future use, etc.
Yep.
So I didn't hear that.
I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to understand what you're.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm sorry that you didn't hear that. I mean, I think that, it is something that I feel is good in what I'm trying to do. So.
Let's see if there's a better question.
Yeah. What about, like Joel said, there's be one meeting a month, but there's preparation, there's training, there's site visits usually. They don't all take a lot of time, but lumped together. Do you feel like you'd be able to fulfill those time commitments? And
I mean, I don't know exactly what the time commitments are, but it is definitely something that I would, make a priority to, do. You're saying once a month is, and then
Joel,
there's
you were on
additional
the
training.
You were on the planning
I was on the
board.
planning board for 21 years, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a once a month meeting, but of course, it's a preparation for the meeting. And then to be trying to become informed about the applications, oftentimes that are before you, you have to do a little background work to check out the situation that you're going to be asked to address. And then at other times, the board is involved in broader planning issues, and researching and making recommendations. Oftentimes, if there's a town board action, it involves a development of some kind that the matter gets referred to the planning board for comment and recommendation. So that is that role as well. It's an important position, and but it's not all consuming.
Yeah.
So I mean, we need people who are open-minded and who are willing to take the time to do the job well. It sounds like you're prepared to make that kind of commitment.
I mean, I have, and now that my children are grown or more, I do
Bigger.
have, bigger, let's just say bigger. Yeah. I mean, I'm here today and you called yesterday. So, I mean, I am able to, kind of fit this in and, be a part of, what you guys are trying to accomplish. So, I mean, yes, I don't know exactly the time commitment here, but it is something that I am willing to, invest in.
As we said about the other positions, you can spend a lot of time if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I did find the question that maybe matches what I was asking.
Let's hope.
See. I'm going to read it. It says, do you think you would be able to make meaningful decisions, recommendations based upon adopted plans, ordinances, established policies, and not upon personal values?
I mean, I think that there's, zoning laws and, planning in place for a reason. And, I would follow those, guidelines without personal opinions. And, I think that I would, after training and all of that, I think that I would be, able to do that. So.
Not that your opinions don't count.
It's not that my
Yeah,
opinions
right.
don't count, no. And obviously I would, bring those up, but I think that it's important to, work within what you have at the time and,
I was on the board for a number of years where we were constantly frustrated by the regulations that were in place. We all agreed that they ought to be changed, but until they're changed, the way
Right.
they're written.
right.
That was what part of underlay the major effort to revise our zoning, which is now at least consistent with what we say we want, comprehensive plan, which needs to be revisited shortly.
Yeah.
So,
Which will be done by the planning board.
right, well, the planning board will certainly be
Yeah.
actively engaged in
Yeah.
that process. So that's an important revisiting, where are we headed? And do we still want the same things we wanted 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the fun part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds interesting. So, and that's, kind of something that has brought me here is to be a part of that. So,
Thanks.
yep. Anyone else?
No,
Good.
All right. Thank you for your time.
thanks, Jen.
Let's see. Yeah, Renee. Yep. Yeah.
Take that off so you can understand me. Sorry, I have my back to you guys. Hi, I'm Renee Owens. So I'm here upon request to join the Conservation Advisory Council. I have that right. And let me see a quick rundown all about me. So I come from I have basically a two-pronged background. Obviously, if you've seen the information I provided, I'm a scientist, I'm a biologist, I'm an ecologist. I have a very long background, a very extensive background in that field. I've had my own environmental consultancy for almost 30 years. And that is with a focus in the habitat, wildlife, wetland aspect of things. But I also have been engaged for a very long time by default in the regulatory aspect of those things, impact analysis and all that kind of stuff, research, education. I've been involved in all those aspects of biological endeavors. And even the business I have is still, there's a website and that talks more about that, what we do with that. So I won't go into that if you're curious. I've been a teacher here let me go back a minute. There's so many things and I don't want to take up too much time, but so I moved here last December from California. I grew up in Elmira and I went to Geneseo as an undergrad, and I lived in Rochester and the outskirts of Rochester, and for a little while in Ithaca. So I've lived here. It's been a long time. So now I'm back. I do have family here. It's one of the main reasons why I moved back here. So family around here and in Long Island. So and I've been anxious to get to know this community. So just to get a jump start on your question, how do you talk to how do you meet the people? I'm just going to events to try to meet my community. We went to the plant trade. I didn't know Corbett was my neighbor till I did the art trails, and we go to the festivals and the church dinner. I'm married, so we isn't just my imaginary friends, it's my husband and I. And I have to say, and I'm maybe this sounds cliche, I don't know, but on a regular basis, my husband and I have been saying how pleasantly surprised we are by how nice and friendly and chatty and I really, seriously, it's been really lovely, no matter where we are. So I'm really enjoying getting to try to be a part of this community. And I even have a friend moving from Florida and getting the general area. And I'm like, you should move to Danby. It's really nice here. So yeah, I've been here almost a year. And in California, I was extremely involved before that. I lived in South America, in Ecuador, in Venezuela, wherever I lived, I volunteered. Maybe to answer, why am I doing this? I feel like it's something I have to do wherever I live. It's that simple. I volunteered since I was 12. I started a Save the Tallgrass Prairie campaign. I had no idea what a tallgrass prairie was, but I had a teacher tell me, I was like, okay, we'll do this. So, and I volunteer for SPCA and wildlife groups. I've been a volunteer for many years with the Sierra Club, national and local groups, fundraising, conservation, executive committees. Until the pandemic, I would go every year to DC to help train people from around the country to be citizen lobbyists. I don't really like the word lobbyist because it has a rather negative connotation, but basically just teaching people how to make their voices be heard to the powers that be and how to do that effectively. So sorry if I'm jumping around, but as far as my background, I've been a teacher. Right now, at this moment, I'm not teaching, but I've taught for several community colleges in San Diego State University. I taught for Boston University in a program in South America. So I've done a lot of that: biology, environmental science, psychology, communication, education. So when I said I have sort of a two-pronged approach, interest in volunteering, obviously one is to bring my skills as a scientist, you know, pretty straightforward things I can do, my knowledge, regulatory, scientific, habitats, wildlife. I'm very knowledgeable about birding and mammals and invertebrates, and I'm a level 3 tracker and all that stuff. But also, once I started getting more involved over the years in volunteering, as you can imagine, a lot of it was with nonprofits, not all. But the overriding question was, how do you get more people involved? And how do you keep them involved, right? That's always the ultimate question. I was even reading some article in one of the newsletters bemoaning, like, we're working on a budget and nobody's showing up to talk about it. And I was like, yeah, it sounds familiar. You know, it's hard to get people involved. So that question kept popping up no matter what I was doing, no matter what campaign. How do we get people helping out and involved? So I went and got another master's in environmental science, but with a focus on communication and education, because I was really fascinated, and I still am, about aspects of communicating all of these to our communities, simply put. And so I really enjoy that aspect of things, helping collaborations, getting people to feel like they're an important part of a campaign. And usually it is a campaign. Usually people don't contact you just to say hi. There's a campaign, an issue, a problem, whatever. So that's the other part of my background and interest is communication, education. And so I guess those are the things I bring to the table and the reason why I'm here. I have attended one of the meetings, which isn't very many, but you know, I like I said, I wear a lot of hats, and I'm also becoming a big sister with a big sister program, and I have you know, a lot going on, so I don't commit to something without really being ready to commit. I used to say yes to everything, and I don't do that anymore. So, so I don't know if I've touched on any of your questions, so I'll just.
We can't hear you.
Isn't that when one doesn't work? That one doesn't work either.
You've been to one meeting, and you've had an introduction to what the CAC does. You know, specifically, how do you feel yourself fitting in? I mean, I'm looking for, you know, maybe an wildlife advocate, you know, things like that. I mean, how are you going to use your skills to help?
Well, so far, I mean, I'm still learning to see what is the scope of your interests. You know, I don't want to come in shot out of a cannon telling everybody what should happen next. But for starters, I can see the easements are a very big deal, which I think is very smart, obviously. And so it seems like there are several aspects to that. And one, the practical side, like if you need somebody to go check out areas and help catalog what's there or get the nature of the easement, I would love to do that. You know, that sounds like the fun part. It sounds like maybe just getting more people interested in that aspect of it. And I think that I'm very willing. I think it's a nice way to try to talk to people. Like, are you interested in this? And I've already been talking to a bunch of people about it and I'm still learning. I've read through all the rules I can find so far about what is required and the how-tos. And so that I can tell people what's involved, because I've had a couple of people already say something that I know I'm not the expert, but I know is wrong about, well, I have to pay more taxes. I'm like, no, I don't think that's the way it works. So I'd love to help out, just getting information out about what's involved and why it would be. I think there's also maybe a fear like you lose all control or something. So that would be, I'd really be interested in that. I'm always interested in expanding campaigns or events or anything that involves environmental education. You know, it doesn't matter the age, whether it's adults. I like doing it for adults too, because I know we really need to do it with kids, but adults need to have fun too. I got lots of ideas there, but I want to wait to see what the scope of your interests are too, and the capacity for people involved. But I tentatively like to say I can help with fundraising too. That's a little different aspect on this council, I realize. But, you know, ultimately finding funding for some things is important. So I'm not averse to if and when that applies, to trying to help with that. So far, I think that's it. Yeah.
Within the scope.
Yeah.
How much time do you have to devote to it?
Well, I feel confident I have the time. I don't want to say like an hour, a figure, but I was doing a lot more volunteering before I moved. So this is, I'm doing less now, which is planned, because I just want to make sure, like I said, when I commit to something, I'm old enough that I don't do what I used to 20 years ago. Like, yeah, I can do all these things. And then I wonder why I'm exhausted. So So I've got the time. Yeah.
Great. Can we clone you?
Can you,
Can we clone you?
oh, I'm not sure you want to do that. I do have, for those pet people out there, I have 5 dogs and 4 cats and chickens. So I am an indentured slave to my pets. They're probably the most demanding things, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, like I said, I volunteered. I miss volunteering. You know, you live somewhere for a long time, and in San Diego, I was it's a big, much bigger place, but I'd had the time to get to know people, and I had a letter of commendation from the city of San Diego for my conservation work, and a bunch of other things like that. So it's actually kind of fun to be in a new place and sort of start over and get to meet new people and new issues that ultimately they're the same issues everywhere. They just have a different flavor. So. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Good. If you want to, because we're going to consider it, ask Margaret Corbett any questions about the potential as leader of the CAC. Since she's here.
So Margaret, are you're willing to chair? to
Yes,
chair.
I am. I believe that as of.
Could you come up here with the mic?
Yes, that's right.
Because they're not hearing it.
Right.
My understanding is that as of tonight's meeting, this is interim appointment. And then in January, when the group restructures, the group, I believe.
No, we appoint.
Appoint, oh, the town board appoints?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, I will be willing in January, assuming everyone's happy with it, to take on the chair position again on a contingency. And the contingency, and he is logged in, or he was earlier, there's Jonathan. Jonathan Zisk has agreed to co-chair with me. And my understanding is that I'm the one who appoints him as co-chair.
Yeah.
So I would like to appoint him as interim co-chair tonight. And it'll be did he just say something? No, he's.
Not yet.
I'll accept that.
Okay, I checked in with him this afternoon. Let him know this was probably going to happen. And then in January again, we'll go through the same process. You know, life is fluid. We're all at a stage in life where we know that, but yes, essentially, I'm willing to continue on my
Coordinating role.
yeah, but it was before I took over for Claire as backup, and this makes it officially interim.
You've actually been doing it, yeah.
Yeah, and then in January, I will be willing to continue on, assuming everyone is happy with that.
How long have you been involved with the CAC?
This, I think, is only the end of my first year.
No. Really?
It's probably been 1 year, isn't it? Yeah.
Is it the end of, is my term coming up? It's been quick.
It goes quickly.
Yeah.
The answer to that question is in Leslie's hands.
Yes,
Keep
it
track
is.
of this stuff. It's also on the web, not on the web, it's on, well, actually, it might be on the website, but it's also in Work Drive.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I've been doing it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, I'm interested in continuing in my role in January. And hopefully a lot of the existing members will be in the same position when the time comes.
Right. And they all need to be reminded that you have to submit an application.
Yeah.
And I will be sending out an email.
think everybody's gotten an email. I sent everybody an email, I think, reminding them.
Yeah, you did a month or two ago, but
Yeah,
it
maybe
needs,
was
it's a
too long
constant.
ago. I should have
Yeah,
waited.
We need to follow up because
Yeah.
the deadline looms here,
yeah, exactly. The applications are due,
December 2nd.
oh, like immediately after Thanksgiving, so, yeah.
Soon.
I also have, because of my previous experiences, I'm not afraid to get on the phone. And simply, you don't have a written record of it when you do that, but that's the only downside. Because the rest of it is you catch the people and you go yes or no, so there you go.
I caught everybody said yes. So, I mean,
Oh,
people whose terms are up.
oh, great, okay, so that's good,
Yeah,
yeah,
But they need to follow up. By
right.
right, because they still have to apply.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, the confirmation that yes, indeed. Yeah.
okay, thank you for the reminder, Leslie. Yeah, good. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. All right. I asked Dan whether he'd be here tonight, but I do not see that he is either in person or on Zoom. And neither is Keith, right? I mean, Laura's here, but
Yes, hi, everybody. Yeah, Keith, he was up at 2:00 in the morning riding roads, and he's home doing his thing, getting ready for other things that are coming up tomorrow. He and I were talking about the meeting tonight, and I was just wanted to mention that we have a bid package out for the West Culvert project. We'll be opening bids on Friday for that job. And the plan is to have the contractor be working on that rest of November and into December. So he just wanted to let me know, just wanted me to let everybody know that. And when there's going to be road closings, he will make the proper announcements. And hopefully we get some good bids in on Friday.
and that's the main focus of the special meeting on Friday at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Just to open the bid.
Yeah, an award, hopefully.
Laura, I had a question about that. It's come up a couple times where, I think the last time it was East Miller, somebody, a resident said, geez, don't you think somebody could have told us, that a road was closed? Is there any way, I mean, a lot of people get information from that South Hill Danby Facebook page.
Mhm.
Is there any way we could have somebody, when a road is going to be closed, like put something on there? If it's a possibility, maybe we could talk about it.
I'd also suggest putting it on the website and maybe sending an email blast to our email list.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I think a lot of people go to that Facebook page too. I mean, for something like a road closure, especially if it's going to last for a month or two, it might be nice.
Sure, I think that that's a great idea.
Maybe we could just consider it.
Yes, and I'll ask Janice to help me do that. Janice helps me with those kinds of things. So, yeah,
Well,
any
Facebook,
ideas?
and if
Any
you
ideas
know
where we
ahead of
can
time,
reach out
this
from
is the
time
sort
to
of thing
time?
we could put in a newsletter.
Well, I think part of what Leslie might have been alluding to, it's not just people who live in the direct neighborhood. A lot of people come through and use that road. So another thing that I get blasts all the time from is siren. And it tells me when roads are closed, going to be closed, etc. Kind of annoying because it beeps on my phone and everything, but it is another way. I mean, if the signs are put out far enough and away from the beginning of it with detours, that's helpful. And I know that the highway does do that. Thank you.
Yes, any of those kinds of suggestions I think are great. The more outreach when we have something like that going on, the better. So, sure, and I'll mention that to Keith that you brought that up. And anything anybody can think of, will do.
It'll be nice to get that culvert fixed.
You sure will. Yeah.
Yes, it will. We're getting some major things done in the town. Getting ready to submit our CHIPS report for reimbursement from the state. And we're getting, like you say, we're getting a lot of projects done.
Okay, moving on.
Thanks, Laura.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah.
We need to do this.
Well, it's on the as an addition to the agenda to postpone dealing with the warrants. But it's kind of anticipated that we wouldn't be because they didn't get done because it was such a quick turnaround between last week and this week.
Right.
So it's kind of relevant at this point because that's accounts for why there's nothing there. So the consent agenda consists of the meeting minutes essentially. And I'm not sure that we can actually just sort of take them as they are.
I would be willing to move the October 19th minutes. I did look at that and the couple of changes I wanted to see on it were done. But not all the other ones. I think they just need more discussion.
I looked at them all, yes. I only have one suggestion on November 1st. On 6.33, it talks about variance applications, but in 6.32, it talks about apps. I would prefer that they be listed as applications because they are applications.
Of course, apps is an abbreviation for applications.
Computer applications, yes,
Yeah.
and phone applications. These are not phone applications.
No,
Yeah.
they're different kind of application.
Should be, if this is official minutes, it would be appropriate the word application in two places in 6.32.
I agree with that.
That's November 1st, isn't it?
November 1st, yes. And the other things that I had noted before from the last meeting had all been changed. Thank you.
There was one that didn't get changed, and that was the, which set of minutes had the things that the planner said that still has the, one more thing that I couldn't remember or something.
I had other things on November 1st. Well, I'm not ready to, the concerns I had about at least the first two had not been addressed. So I would like to at least get one off the table, and that's October 19th. I know the two things, if people read them, there's two things that I had one was Cindy's last name spelled right, and I forget what the other one was, but those got fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So move that we approve the October 19th minutes.
Any further discussion about that? Should we do that separately? Okay, so Janet?
Connors,
Aye.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes. Are there any others that we want to do now?
I mean, I'd rather wait until the next meeting.
Okay, can we put on the agenda for Friday?
Yeah, I can say that I just changed your the spelling of applications on the 11-1 meeting. And I'm pretty sure I've been through everything else except for maybe that town planner meeting that I need to flesh out that line. But I'm not willing to change anything else from any of the other minutes. So I don't know what good it will do to continue to push these meeting minutes forward. If you don't want to approve them, and then you don't have to approve them. It's just a courtesy.
Well, it's, yeah, it's more than a courtesy when it involves, you know, hopefully residents or people reading them in the future to be able to have a good idea of what actually happened. And I know that people can listen to the recording, but not everybody has time to listen to a whole meeting recording. The other thing that we have done in the past when there's a problem is I could submit at the next meeting the changes I would have liked to have seen to be added into the minutes of the next meeting, just as a separate document. If Janice doesn't feel the need to change any of them. That the next meeting.
There was the one set, I forget which one it is, where you left the meeting, Janice, and so the end of the meeting isn't, there's no record of what
That
happened.
she just changed.
She did change?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't see it.
What was changed?
No,
October 25th.
Yeah, October 25th.
the October 25th meeting.
Got it to the minutes. She changed them. The ones that are online now are not what was online for the last meeting. That's been changed.
Yeah, did it? That's what we covered.
I looked at them
Yeah,
today.
she looked it up.
Okay.
The October 25th meeting minutes say that the town clerk left the meeting following a contentious back and forth between her and the town board members regarding IT needs. Any other minutes beyond this point are compiled from audio or transcript or both. That was added because of Joel. I am not willing to do that because I was not physically present at the meeting. And then number 5 is meeting adjourned at 6:39 according to the recording timestamp. So I still feel that, you know, if I wasn't present at a meeting, then I should not be filling in those minutes as I was not present. There is an audio recording and there is also a transcript. One of the issues with the transcripts not being put up timely is because Cindy's computer isn't allowing her to do that because she needs a new one, but we won't get into that whole budget issue that was sidestepped. So I don't know what else you would want me to do for that.
Well, when I spoke to you about it, you had indicated that you'd be willing to have Cindy fill in the blanks, so to speak, for the.
Yeah, and if that's what you want to do, then you need to ask Cindy to fill in the blanks.
Okay, you didn't ask her to do it.
I have not.
Well, how do you feel about it? Shall we?
I don't know that there's much else there.
I don't remember there being that much.
There
that happened
wasn't
after she left.
any details or votes or anything that happened after that.
I didn't
that
think there was. It's
don't-
probably all right the way it is.
I think it's all right the way it is. The ending time should be there and it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we're not missing much, then there's no need to have her spend time trying to flesh it out.
I think just for the record, having a recording that lasts for an indistinct amount of time, because we really don't know how long a recording will be available or would be. But the idea of the written minutes, if they are not complete, if we feel that there is something, as Leslie suggested, to just recently, like early, I'm sorry, there's such an echo, that's why I'm halting speech. Anyway, we can do the same thing that you suggested for that and then add that at the next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like November 1st is a go.
No, she had some more questions.
You have questions about it? Yeah. All right, well then we will just defer the rest of them until Friday. All right, so that kind of brings us to the additions and deletions. The relevant one here is the while adding this. We just agreed to do that. But there's also the warrants, which if everybody's in agreement, we can deal with those on Friday.
Yep.
It's just,
If we get them, so we can see them.
yes.
2.1, did you schedule public hearing?
No, we need to do that too.
That was first thing on the list. We
Yes,
should
it
go
is.
in order.
I did jump around, but not because I intended to skip it though. We have been told, and I certainly I confirmed this with Guy, that everybody has to basically re-up their authorization for code enforcement. Guy says I've done this. I've got 3 in process now, and then you're adding it. So I'll see if I can get to it. But he told me that he's pretty sure he can get ours. Since Steve's already done the bulk of the work in filling in the blanks in the state supplied template. There's just a couple of things that need clarification, and then he'll get to that right after Thanksgiving, which is just in time. If we schedule the public hearing for our December 6th meeting, which is our first meeting in December, he'll have it to us by the 1st, and that's time enough to get it, so that when the notice is published, the public can have access to the text of the law.
Right,
And that's what they need
yeah.
in advance of the meeting. So I move we schedule a public hearing for December 6th at our 6 o'clock customary time to comment on a public hearing on this code enforcement local law.
Second.
Any
And
discussion?
when is that local law going to be available?
Well, around the 1st. In
On the
fact, if
1st.
you want to see the draft, I can send it to you now.
Well, technically, we shouldn't be setting a public hearing until the document's ready. But if we know it's going to be ready within 5 days or
Well, that's what
before.
I'm saying, is that if we have the text, at the time that the notice is published in the paper, it's available to the public.
Right.
The public gets to see it, in
Okay.
a time to the actual hearing.
Okay, so the public hearing on what date? 6th?
The 6th, yeah. So that satisfies the intent of having, the law has got to be what is given. Any
Six, yeah.
further discussion? Good, yeah. Janice?
Connors, Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes. We agreed to add the warrants to Friday. And by default, we have deleted them from this meeting. Then there's the water district re-levy. For those who don't know what this is about, if you don't pay your water bill, after a while, the unpaid bills get put on your taxes. Once a year we do this. It hasn't happened in 2 years because of the pandemic. So we didn't get to it last year. And we couldn't do it before because during the pandemic, there was a moratorium on doing that. So there's back bills running back 2 years now that we can now authorize being re-levied on the taxes. And Laura supplied a draft resolution to do that. Would somebody like to move it?
I'll move it.
And is there a second?
Okay.
Who was that seconded?
Leslie,
Leslie. Okay, thank you.
and you have it, right,
What-
Janice?
I do have the resolution. Did you need me to screen share it?
No,
Not really.
no,
Probably read it faster.
it has names on it that should not be public.
Oh, that's
No,
not the
they're
resolution.
not on the resolution.
No, it's not.
The
Resolution simply-
town board approves the submission of the re-levy of unpaid water bills from the West Danby Water District to be added to the 2023 property tax bills. The total amount is $2,946.58. What is, have these people been contacted phone called or, is there,
I don't know.
or they'll just end up paying it with their taxes?
Yep, yeah, yeah,
And that is the procedure apparently.
yeah,
Yeah,
them doing this.
yeah, no,
Well,
I
I can
know, I
remember.
remember doing it in the
Yeah.
past. Yeah,
It's just that we had a lapse for a couple of years. We just missed last year because March didn't, by the time I had it on the agenda for December, but March thought it was too late to get it on the tax bills. This is why it's coming up now.
right. Okay,
Any other questions about it? Okay, Janice?
Connors,
Aye.
Hunter,
Aye.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes. Other additions were the appointment of an interim CAC chair.
I move that we appoint,
You want to do co-chairs?
No.
pardon?
No.
You want to do co-chairs or just chair and
Just
vice
chair.
chair and vice chair?
No, just chair.
Just chair.
I move that we appoint Corbett, for the term through December 31st, 2022.
Okay. I'll second that.
Okay.
Any discussion about it?
Oops.
And the discussion is it was sort of contingent upon Jonathan helping.
It's really, I
out.
mean, it's nice that she's willing, I mean, given she's filled in for
Yeah.
Claire a number of
Yeah.
times.
She had to, and she did it well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And
Connors,
Aye.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
yes. So Corbett gets all the glory and Jonathan gets to do the work.
I don't know if he's gonna go for that.
You want to entertain the executive session now, or you want to get through the rest of the business?
Finish the business.
Okay, come back to it. Well, why don't we do 9.2 before we do 9.1?
Yes.
Yeah. Pat and Catherine were not here last year when this came up. You were though.
Yeah.
There was a request from the Cemetery Association in West Danby to have the water district pay for part of the cost of removing a large maple tree that was they thought needed to be taken down. It's on their property, but it was leaning in the direction of and directly over a water hydrant from the water district. So the request was that because of the threat to our infrastructure, that we'd be willing to pay for part of the cost of removing the tree. And at the time, it was expected, they had an estimate of $1,000 to take the tree down. And the board agreed to fund that. But in the meantime,
Fund up $500 of it, right?
right,
Is that what it was?
right, half of it would have been $500.
Right.
But in the meantime, it was discovered that the estimate was for the wrong tree. Now, it's hard to imagine that this could happen, but it was, there are two cemeteries in West Danby. Both cemeteries have maple trees that overhang the water hydrants in the water district in West Danby. Both trees are hollow and could conceivably fall. The estimate was, the maple tree that's overhanging the water thing, at the cemetery. They got the estimate for the wrong tree. And the difference was that tree could be taken down for $1,000, but the right tree turned out to be, I think, $2,400. So I went back and listened to the recording because we do not have minutes for the last fall meeting. And the motion was $500 or half of the cost of removing the tree. So that could be read to mean that we'd be willing to pay half regardless of what it is. But I thought it prudent to come back to the board with it because it's considered than what was originally. So welcome everyone, either virtually attending or in person.
Sorry. My computer went wacky.
Oh, is that what that was? Yeah.
That was what that was.
I thought it was well that we bring it back for reconsideration in light of the increased cost. So instead of being $500, it'd be only $1,200 for us to pay half of it. But the Water District Committee is willing and recommends that we approve that.
What about the other tree that they?
Well, that one.
Is that one gonna have to come down too?
It's going to have a hard time falling on that hydrant because it's got all the wires in the way, which is to say, if it comes down, it's going to mess up the electrical.
It'll hang up on the
big
wires?
time, but,
Oh, okay, that's different.
you know, but it's not something that the water district's concerned about.
Oh, okay.
It's one of these things that NICEAG keeps whacking away at, and it's like, why didn't you take the whole thing down? I mean, there's only one piece left, but that piece is healthy. It's just that.
So we don't really need to do anything because we already approved
Well,
$1,000 or
it could be-
$500 or half.
Yeah, it could be seen as having been approved even at the increased cost.
So we just need to acknowledge the change in the,
That we're okay
total
with it,
fee.
If in fact you are.
I wasn't on the board, but I was here for those meetings and I definitely remember it.
Yeah, Matt Ulinsky made the motion and Jim Hollihan seconded it.
the water district, is okay with that.
They're okay with it, and it's an expense of the water district if you approve it.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you want to formalize that, or should we just, because it's already sort of in the motion that was made, just go ahead and pay it?
If it was in the motion already, and if it was an or, it's in the motion.
It was an
Now,
or.
acknowledge
in the
that
motion.
the total cost
Yeah.
to the cemetery association is more than.
Yeah, it would way more
what they
than
had.
we're planned for. But they were keen to take it down, so they did it.
It's still standing?
No, it's down now.
Oh, it's down now?
Yeah, they took it down.
Oh, okay.
Well, they had to take it down. It's astonishingly expensive to do these.
That was a big tree.
It was a big tree. Okay, well then we need not act on it, and I can that we're good with what resolution previously approved. Okay. Which brings us back to 9.1. Do we want to consider tonight having a discussion about who to appoint to at least a couple of these committees? I mean, we could do the planning board and the CAC. We'll talk about them anyway. We probably should wait and get opinion from Guy about whether or not we can talk about the town board appointment, or whether that has to be done in open session, or we could opt to do it in open session if we want to.
Not based on our guidelines that we passed out before.
No, the guideline,
The town board shall
policy-
review all applications in executive session 3.5,
Yeah, that's the policy we adopted.
which means we can't do that. If we can't do that, we need to double check to see whether we can follow these or not, or make the change. So,
That's a policy,
mhm.
it's not a
It's a
law.
policy of the board.
That's right. So I mean, the board can modify and deviate from the policy if it chooses to.
In that case, we need to put it on the agenda that we're going to deviate from that, which we did not do.
Well, here it is.
What are you two arguing about?
Whether or not one has
Whether you
to,
have to follow our guidelines or not.
Yeah.
it's a policy. We don't have to follow. We should have, I don't think we should deviate it without good reason, but a good reason would be because we're not supposed to. If in fact, the law, the courts have ruled that.
That's just for the elected officials.
Just like the officials, right?
So-
I mean, there's no reason why we should deviate for the other ones. It's our policy. That we had this discussion, folks. This came up last year, a couple of years ago, when we were dealing with this policy. And we had very much two points of view on the matter. There were those
Okay.
people who thought that it was embarrassing and an imposition on the candidates for position to have the discussion of who should be appointed done in public. It'd be better to have that done in executive session out of public view. The other side felt that the public has a right to see the deliberative process whereby people are considered for appointment. And we had people arguing both ways. The
At
board
different
came down
towns,
with
the same people.
the interviews will be public. The deliberations about who to appoint will happen in executive session. So that's our policy that we adopted.
Well, I mean, it was discussion of the applications, not making the decision.
No, the decisions
So-
have to be made in
Right,
public.
right.
But when you come out and you say, we're going to appoint X, so the thing is that the people will not have seen the discussion that preceded the actual appointment. But that's what we decided to do. So, and that's the policy that was adopted. So if you're willing, if you'd like to.
I mean, I don't see it quite the same way you do, Joel. I mean, in that there have been times when we've gone into executive session, and because you are not supposed to be making decisions in executive session, we've come out and sat at the table, and people didn't know, who was going to vote how, which way. So, I mean, a decision isn't made. It's made when you come back.
If I'm implying that.
What I heard, yeah.
Okay, well, that's not what I meant
Okay.
to imply, because the decision is not made in executive
Okay.
session. The deliberations about who to appoint are done in executive session, but then the actual decision and appointment happens in open session. So, all that said,
Okay.
would you like to consider making an appointment tonight?
We have-
for
we
which
have-
would need the executive session?
We have an additional planning board application
Correct.
for Friday.
Right.
Yeah,
So we can't,
So
we
we
really
can't do
shouldn't do
that.
that one.
No.
So,
So that leaves the CAC,
right,
and if you'd like to consider doing that tonight, we could do that.
yeah. I wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah. Do we feel we really need an executive session for that one, or what? No. It is. Yeah, we don't have to do executive session. Particularly since we have only one position. At the moment.
She's not paying any attention.
Right, but it's just a question of whether or not. All right, well then, why don't we just go straight to it? You want to make a motion?
I move that we appoint Renee Owens to the CAC.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I can leave if you want.
No. I will personally say that I'm extraordinarily pleased that you would apply. You ready?
Yeah, that was Woodworth and then Connors seconded, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Connors,
Aye.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
and Gagnon.
Yes. Thank you and congratulations. Unlike the boards, there's no oath of office associated with it, but I will send you a formal letter indicating your appointment on the term.
I'll bring cookies.
So that's great. And I believe the council agreed this month to have its meetings be in person going forward.
Oh, they will be.
Yeah. That was in response to the spirit of the law, although people can attend Zoom. The open meetings law still requires boards and committees to meet in person. It's based on an, I would say, antiquated idea of what public observation consists of, because it predates electronic means of attending. But the legislature hasn't yet enabled us to have virtual meetings. We did all through the pandemic, but only under the executive order of the governor, which enabled us to suspend the requirements of the open meetings law to do it. And those have been not rescinded, but I guess they are rescinded. Well, it expired because the government basically gave it up. You know, they're saying we no longer need to be so careful and we go back to meeting in person. So the only modification was that whereas before you could attend remotely if you announced ahead of time where you were going to be and the public could join you there so that they could see you. That has been modified so that one can, by announcing ahead of time that one isn't going to be there in person, attend remotely and vote without the public being present, as long as there's a quorum of the membership present physically in one place. So it allows for one of us, at the moment, one of us to be someplace else and still participate in the meeting, as long as we know ahead of time that there's going to be a snowstorm or we're going to be sick. So that's the, but, you know, that it's a slight improvement. So the CEC will be meeting in person going forward. Most of them anyway. So thank you. Did you have anything left? Oh yes, the potential of executive session on the lawyer's advice. Right. We have, I was asked to get the lawyer's opinion on the situation with the town clerk, and I did. And if you'd like to talk about it, we could have an executive session because it's lawyerly advice.
Okay.
So, need a motion? I guess I just kind of made it.
I'll second that.
Okay. And anybody want to talk about it?
No.
Okay. Janice?
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes. I will say for those who are in attendance that there's no other business other than deciding what's going to be an agenda next time. We will come back because we have to go into executive session, come back out of it before we adjourn, but I don't expect any further business to be conducted. No, I don't think it'll take long either, but yeah. Anyway, let us repair to another place.
What grade?
High school.
Oh.
But 9th. Yeah, it was a long haul.
More sort of tears. Yeah. It's no easy job. Thank you.
Still climbing trees at 76. But I don't. I don't care what it is. I just like to know. Ever seen, we got a Fisher on camera? Really? Yeah. Lots of foxes, lots of coyotes, lots of turkeys. Oh, no. We got 2 blocks of about 15 each. They're probably, I know they scared. I got up the tree stand before daylight one morning. And I didn't know they were roosting right up the pine tree that I was in. Well, all of a sudden, one day, they all decided to fly down. That scared the heck out of me.
I was talking about that. I was walking across my field. And before fall took it out, there was a big rock in the field.
Yeah.
That was surrounded by tall grass, because when they cut it or hay, they can't get that close.
Right.
So I'm walking along, and all of a sudden, I hear something. I went, what? And I heard it again. I started walking towards the rock. And there were 2 full-grown turkeys. And there was probably 20 little animals. And I have never seen little ones take off. Well, right.
Yeah.
So man, they went up and cleared trees, where the trees started to go down. Scared the living Jesus out.
The granddaughter is in the ROTC program.
Oh, yeah.
She wants to get into the FBI. Either that or Homeland Security or military intelligence. And she got an opportunity for captain that had an ROTC in Philadelphia down at Temple University. Recommended her for a paid internship with the FBI over in Germany.
Really?
So she's hoping she gets that. There's one in Germany, one in Hawaii. She wants Germany.
Oh, that would be nice.
That would be nice for her.
That would be beautiful. Now, what year is she in?
She's a junior now. She'll be a senior next year. And she's doing great. Her marks are, yeah, she's right up there.
Well, that's good. That's very important.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And because next year, they'll come around for her green sheet.
Yeah.
Now, she's in the army.
Yeah.
I can remember my senior year. All the seniors got pulled into a big room. And the first thing that the sergeant major did, that sergeant major, he says, okay, I want you to put on this this request, what branch you want. And there were 4 choices. And it was, everybody has to put at least 1 combat arm, except these 3 guys. I looked at the thing, there's my name. And of course, when you're young and full of this and that, geez, I was, I could respect. And I said, excuse me, after I said, excuse me, I said, Commanding Sergeant Major, why can't I put a combat arm? And he said, I love it the way senior military folks work. I'm sure it's the same way in the Air Force. He looks at me and he says, son, he says, take off your glasses. So I took them, that's when I was wearing glasses. Took them off. He says, what do you see? I don't see very much very clearly. I can see a lot of things, fuzzy. And he says, now, do I want to give you a rifle and get in front of you? He says, no. That's why you can't do a combat arm. And I said, well, as an electrical engineer, I'd like to apply for Army intelligence. And he goes, oh, no, son. He said, that is a academy branch. He says, but if you want, you can write it in the column, beside your, and this is something you want to tell her. I don't know if that's still true or not, but if it is, he told me, you have to put these 4 in, but if you want something like that, put it in the side, because when the board picks these things up and looks at it, what they're gonna do is they're gonna look at what you want. They're gonna look at your background, they're gonna look at your grades, and, and he says, that'll never happen. Well, that year, 3 electrical engineers got ASA. And I'll tell you, that changed my whole career.
She's looking forward, she really likes. This is a girl that was in, junior high and high school, and she'd stay all night with friends, and they show a scary movie. She called her mom and dad, come and get me. She's a brain.
Well, that's great. When will she find out?
I don't know. She's taken off, but her roommate is also an ROTC. They got 2 other friends that are close with that are in ROTC. Well, the one's grandparents owns a villa over in Italy. So the four of them are leaving Sunday for 10 days to go to Italy.
Oh, wow.
I said, it's nice to have a rich friend today.
Oh, yeah,
So we FaceTime with her tonight. I said, hey, says, you're going to Italy this weekend. You need some extra money. She said, well, I wouldn't ask you, Papa. I said, how about if I send you $200? I'll just spend more. So she'll spend it on something. I would say she does a good job when she's home summers and she's working quite a few hours. She makes it all. So she can have spending money during the year. That's good. My boys can go home because
hey, it was good seeing you guys.
hopefully you'll see me more.
Yeah, yes.
We'll see.
Yeah. Don't want to violate code.
Yeah.
But I've already, it was funny, a month and a half ago. We had signed up to get the food shelves.
Yeah.
There was money. And we go into Wegmans, go up and say, if you have flu shots for us, yes, we do. She took both of us in.
Yeah.
And she goes through the list, and they have a fever, yada, yada. How do you feel? And at the time, I had a little scratchy throat. But, I said, I feel pretty good. Because I got the shot. The next day, the scratchy throat got more intense. And I went, is it flu shot? Or is it, well, I had picked up the test that we had.
Yeah.
I'll just give it a try,
Luckily, Gator, I neither one. I'll tell you one thing we did, we got 5 different vaccines for the COVID. We got our flu shot. And 2 months ago, we got our first shingle shot.
Oh,
We went down yesterday and got one. I'll tell you, I did not feel good this morning. Your arm hurts. It's still down. I mean, I'm always up at 5:30. I went to bed at around 9 o'clock last night. I never got out of bed until 7 o'clock this morning. I got a lot better, just kind of, I wasn't sick myself, but I felt like it could be. And, fever and that. So now it's just sore arm now.
well, the one thing my mother got, shingles. Oh, God, I can remember how it was just horrible.
Some people did it.
See, hey, say hi.
I will. Miss Kelly. I had shingles.
Oh, you did?
And, it wasn't that bad. I mean, as far as a spot, but, I ended up going to the ER. It itched, but when you kind of itch it hurt like hell. And, you couldn't itch it, you had to rub it. So, they told me I had shingles. And we went and got the shots anyway. Because I had my receptionist, when I went to Cornell, she had breast cancer, both fronts. She had it removed, she's doing good, radiation, burned her a lot. And, well, she's going through all that treatment, and she ends up getting shingles on her face, got down in her eye. And, oh, she was a mess. She ended up passing away. I think it was from cancer, but she was a mess. And I know it's not nice.
And the thing of it is, 3 days later, we were supposed to get our last booster. Okay, that went out the door. But like my son said, he got COVID. He said, look at it this way. Now you can wait to get another booster 4 months from now.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you got a freebie.
Yeah. Now, one thing Catherine asked, both Tim and the other gentleman here was, you know, what could you do to get the message across to the people more? You know, and I was gonna bring something up on privilege, and I keep my mouth shut, because sometimes it doesn't go good, I try to explain myself. But anyway, you know, my thing is, when they have privilege before, you get to talk 3 minutes about something, you know, something that bothers you, and then they go through the whole meeting. There's other things in the meeting that come up that you like to comment on, maybe give a different idea, a different outlook. You know, my thought was, I was gonna tell Joe, too, I was gonna send a letter to the board, or I was gonna say it tonight. I didn't, but, you know, why don't they, in one of their meetings, I know they gotta do town business, but why don't one of their meetings, they just set aside a half an hour, just kind of talk, because, you know, when you say something that privilege to the floor, you know, the board never comments on it. Joe will say, thank you, anybody else? I mean, it's so impersonal, and we're a small town, everybody knows everybody. But if you don't feel that way, when, you know, they won't say anything about it. That's just me, maybe nobody else feels that way.
Well, I would think it might be worthwhile. I mean, because a lot of time when they're talking about things, you know, the thought process goes boom. You go, wait a minute, how, you know, can't we talk about this aspect of that?
I mean, you know, there's people out there that might have a better way of doing something, that the town had a problem, the board had a problem.
Okay.
And, you know, it's good to get somebody else's input. I mean, you're gonna get people like Ron and Ted that are gonna just talk, talk. But that's when Joel's gotta shut it down. And look, we're just discussing this, everybody gets a chance. Say what you want to say and move on.
You know, that was one of the things that I found very interesting when I was in the reserves and I was applying for different CEOships all over the East Coast, and I even applied for one in San Diego once. And I remember I had a mentor who was a regional cryptological officer in Northeast. And he came in to Binghamton. And I had been there for probably 5 or 6 years. And he came in and he talked to all the officers, especially the officers, because they're the only ones that really move around. And he says, you've been here 6 years, almost 7. He says, you want to get promoted? And I said, well, yeah. He says, you gotta move. And I said, it's so convenient. He goes, you gotta move. and I started to say something else, and he said, well, I will present the information to you. If you act on it, that's great. If you don't, that's also okay. But you're not going to get promoted. And so I said, no, where can I go? I'm glad you asked. But the one thing he said is, you know, you may think your unit is really good and has a lot of great ideas. But if you start moving around and going up, I went to Devon's, I went to Quincy, Mass, I went to South Weymouth, I went to NSA, Detroit, all over the place. And he was right. I got there and there were people who just really had some really things that I had never even.
Good idea, yeah.
And you should always be open-minded.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh. Guess I should put my stone drawer on.
Well, you know, I did put I bought a new four-wheeler, not really, a good wheel. And it had a plow that came with it. And it was hydraulic blue inch. But it also had the button, you could angle it from the seat.
Oh, geez.
I mean, it was, the guy I bought it from was down in Yorktown. I seen it on Facebook Marketplace. And he bought it from his neighbor. Neighbor bought it brand new from the rack. And he no sooner bought it, and he passed away. Why did he want it? So the guy bought it, and he had 10 miles. And he says, you know, he bought it just that year before. And he only had like 120 miles. I said, why are you selling it? You know, for goodness. Because he says, my son's getting older, and I want to get a side by side for the robot, so that we should take, but they don't work that way. So they ride it through the woods. That was a good investment. But I got a big tractor too. When the snow comes and it's real deep, I'll get the big tractor up with a bucket on it, and I'll move the piles.
Yeah. Yeah, I love those hydraulics. The older I get, I want bigger and better hydraulics. Yeah, I got a, it was a 20, 18, 20 horsepower, 2000 series. And I used that for about 5 years. The first thing I did, I had the bucket. And I thought, well, I can do that. Well, the problem is I have a long driveway, 18 months.
Wow, that is long.
And the thing that goes up real quick. So then I went out and bought a backhoe, which is, that worked. That worked. But the problem with either of those is what you're doing is you're pushing the snow to the side. And after you do that 2 or 3 times, then you gotta bring the bucket in and scoop it and move it. So I did that too. And I said, okay. So I bought a snow blower. And that was great. I mean, I control 20, 30 feet in the field. And then, but the problem is, you probably have this, as you're going down, I'm building the snow thrower, the wind changes.
A snowman. I bought a little snowball, and neighbor up the road, he had it for sale. And it wasn't very big, maybe got a mouth on it, maybe a foot, 14 inches. And I just never used it because I had the 4-wheeler with blades, and the tractor. So I never used it. It sat in the barn for 3 or 4 years, never run. So this year I decided, well, I'm gonna try it. So I checked it, there's no gas in it, so it's all evaporated. So I put all new gas in it, and then finally, that's about the 3rd quarter that she started. I said all that time.
6, 7, 3 hours and 15 minutes so far.
Well, I'll include executive session and some really good interviews. And we actually should have voted to extend our meeting, shouldn't we?
No, it's only 2 hours and 15 minutes.
2 hours and 15 minutes, right? Yeah, we're 15 minutes over. I've been meaning to fix that. I fixed that after we finished. So we're reconvening. We need to have a vote to extend the meeting because we went past our 2 hours.
I vote that we extend or I move that we extend the meeting 15 minutes.
A few minutes, yeah. I'll second that. You want to argue about it, or should we vote? Yeah. Janice, could we have a vote, that vote?
Yep. Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes. Okay, so the point of our huddle had to do with the IT services and your indication that you're unwilling to work with SCT. And we've talked about it, and Catherine is going to voice our conclusion.
Right. So our conclusion is that the town equipment is the town equipment, and SCT is currently our contact and our in contract. And we had agreed by the town board to continue that on a monthly basis while we have the opportunity to explore the suggestions you made and others that we might find. But in the meanwhile, if there's a problem with the computers, then we will call SCT. And if you don't want to be here when they come, then 2 of us will be, and then 1 of 2 of us can be there anyway, so that you don't have to.
Okay, I'm probably gonna regret this, but I can't anymore. I can't believe that you will continue with a company that is dangerous and leaves us at risk. And I wish to wash my hands of it. I'm ready to resign tonight.
Janice,
I am ready.
that's not appropriate, Janice. We already are
This is
still
not
under
appropriate.
contract. The contract continues until December
The
3rd.
contract, December 4th. That's like 2 weeks.
Okay, and we will call them, and then we will work with them to check out what's going on with Cindy's computer.
Nope.
And
not on my watch.
Janice,
I resign.
Janice, you can't.
I will resign. I resign. That's
Janice.
it. I'm done. Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity to serve the public of Danby. It's been a pleasure. I have done my utmost to increase efficiency and processes in this town, but with a town board who refuses to acknowledge that there are problems with vendors that they use that resulted in an attack on our server, I cannot stand by and let you continue to use that company. It is purely absurd. Like, I cannot get over this. Like, you are willing to continue with a company that left,
I'm sorry that you feel that
left
way.
public data at risk. We don't know.
Sorry that you feel that way, Janice.
We don't know what happens. So I wash my hands of it. I won't do it. I refuse to go with a company that has left
Janice,
the
the contract is with the town. It is not with you. I'm sorry, but that is the way it is. The
and
contract is with the
I will
town.
no longer be working as the town clerk
Okay.
because I am not going to be involved in breaches of data where I am responsible for the town's records and all of the data within it. It's not going to happen under my watch.
Okay.
Do you want to give that a little bit of a thought?
Yeah.
Do you want to give that some time to think about that move?
I can't hear anything you're saying, Leslie.
Oh, he's using wrong.
You want to give yourself a little bit of time to think about that.
Not really, because if you as a town board are not willing to recognize the harm that this company has done to you, then I don't see where else I
Janice,
can
it's
go.
it's enough SCT. I mean, I know that there was a problem with a specific person that came in.
It's not my problem. It is not my problem that there is a company that you've
nobody's
worked
saying
with
it's
for
your
years.
problem.
No, you're not listening to me. There's a
No,
company that
I'm
you've
not.
worked with
I'm
for
not,
years
Janice.
that provides shitty
Enough.
services. And then
This is
when they
not
drop us
appropriate for
from
a
their
meeting.
contract, we were under contract with them and they simply stopped coming. They stopped coming without telling anyone. They stopped coming. When they stopped coming, We were
Janice,
under,
please stop. Janice,
we
please
had an
stop.
attack on our server.
Can you please stop, Janice? We have
No.
heard you say this repeatedly, and
Well,
unfortunately.
you must not be understanding what the consequences of it
Please,
are.
Janice, we disagree with you. I have also talked to other computer
Mhm.
expert types who
Yeah.
also told me, and I've also read one of the contracts that you sent,
Mhm.
and I disagree with you that this is the way to handle this problem. We have decided that we.
Obviously, the way to handle it is to continue working with a company that left people under attack.
Our plan was to continue to work with this company while we choose what we're going to do. And in the meanwhile, what we decided in the session, and this is what is decided, is that we will call them and have them come and take a look at Cindy's computer. And we will also talk to them about the plans that they might present.
I am
And
not okay with that.
also what happened, why uncomfortable with what happened or going forward, but this is a board decision. I'm sorry, but that is the way it is. We're supposed to work together.
Yes, but we are not, because you are taking these matters into your own hands and not listening to people who actually use the software, who use the machines, who use everything in this town hall. You are not listening to what they.
We are indeed taking the matter into our own hands, and we are responsible.
Well, I, as town
You can
clerk, who
disagree
is
if you
responsible
want.
for the records and the data that is withheld in this town, I take responsibility for that, and I will not allow you to continue to put it at risk. And if that's the way you're going to go, then I see no alternative but to step down.
I don't see
That's
it
how
as
serious
putting
this
it
is.
at risk.
That is how serious that it is, that you are using a company that is inadequate.
I'd like you to stop talking about a company that some people feel is reputable and a lot of people use. I think doing this in a public manner is not right.
It's
Well,
not
apparently
on
it's
the
public
agenda.
business.
Let's move.
Well, I mean, we're pretty much done. The point of this was simply to say, this is what we have come around to insisting on. You know,
I
we
will
already
not
made-
be allowing SCT to touch the computers in here until their contract is over December 4th. And I do not want them to come and touch these computers. And if you overrule that, then I will walk away.
The computers in the room are not, it's town property.
And you are leaving them at
The
risk.
decision was made to stay with SCT until the end of their contract, and then to do, you know, just do it month by month while we explore all the options. We're not gonna make a rush decision about changing.
It's a
And if
rush
they-
decision when it's been on the table for 2
that's our
years.
decision. That's our
2
decision.
years. If you are set in your ways to doing things antiquated and out of touch with where we are in today's day and age with IT and with records and with data management, then I cannot help you anymore.
not part
I
of the meeting.
cannot help you.
How many other towns use SCP computers?
This is not a productive discussion. You know, the board has decided, and that's the way it's going to go down. And the meeting is now adjourned.